Hi YouTube! Last semester of college for me, I became co-president of my school's queer student union, which is called PRISM. We do a lot of discussions, pretty much like a weekly discussion of anything in the queer community. We talk about current events, sexual identities, gender identities. My high school didn't have a GSA. I didn't really have friends to talk about it with. That's one of my favorite things about college in general, which is why I'm very excited to go back tomorrow. So I identify as queer, and sometimes I get questions about it like, why don't you just identify as lesbian? Why don't you identify as pansexual? Why queer? Some people are under the impression that it's an insult, and I can understand that. It was used throughout the 20th century as, you know, derogatory. Some older LGBT people think of queer as like a faddish thing, like it's like a younger generation thing. The term queer was only like reappropriated 20 years ago. So this is my thoughts on it. I'm gonna share with you guys, you know, why I identify as queer. So queer has always meant something strange, not really normal in society. If you research the word queer, you'll find that one of the biggest reasons why queer was reappropriated and became a term for, you know, LGBT people to use was because in 1990, a group called Queer Nation came to be in existence. Their purpose was to eliminate homophobia, and so it just became a thing to use the word. Now, and this is what we talk about a lot in PRISM, queer is basically an umbrella term for sexual minorities that are not heterosexual or heteronormative. Other than encompassing LGBT people, it also includes asexual people and pansexual people and genderqueer people. It can be used as the queer community umbrella, you know, get it? It's very inclusive, and that's what I like about it. I don't like being shoved into a box. I mean, obviously, people identify as gay and lesbian and bisexual. I think it's awesome that people find, you know, a word like lesbian or asexual and they're like, that's me. Like, if I didn't know that other people were out there who use that term, I wouldn't know how to describe myself. You know, you just feel very different. On the other hand, it's not my thing. I like how queer is not very specific. I like that it makes people think. In simplified terms, it is not straight. Another thing that I like about it is that it's really no one's business besides the person that I'm dating, you know, what I identify as. Some people are like, oh, I'm like 80-20, you know, mostly girls, not as much guys. I don't think that other people need to know that about me. We define our labels. If someone comes up to you and says, oh, you're calling yourself queer, you're just, you know, letting the insult go further. Whatever you want to identify as, no one can tell you that that's not right. You don't really owe anyone an explanation of what you identify as. So now that the word queer is more acceptable to LGBT people, it still has a bit of a negative connotation, or a confusing connotation at the least. Some people not in the LGBT community tend to use queer as a noun. Like, oh, there goes a queer, he's a queer. It doesn't send good vibes. I would not recommend using it as a noun. Just to close the video, I just want to say that if you are ever confused by someone else's sexual identity, gender identity, whatever, if you don't know what to call them, politely ask, or maybe you can get to talking about how they identify if they're comfortable with it. If not, then they're not. I hope this video clarifies queer for you guys. There's a lot to discuss about it. I'm gonna go and pack for college and enjoy my braces-less teeth. Okay, goodbye.